It's time for Off the Air Live.
Well, one might say that sports are the opiates of the masses in the United States of America. One might also say that sports are the PCP of the masses in Egypt. Welcome! This is Off the Air Live, top of the hour to you. My name is Cody O'Connor, and you hear me every Thursday and Saturday night at 10 p.m. on LRN.FM, doing video at offtheairlive.com. So lots of people in Egypt dead over sports and politics and a bunch of stuff that I hate. I have a story for you. Gonna read it, and then we're gonna talk about why everything involved in this is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. So, in Cairo, Egypt, 27 people are dead after a riot because of a violence verdict based on another riot over a soccer game where more people died. Unbelievable. Angry Egypt's rioted, killing at least 27 people after a judge sentenced nearly 24 soccer fans to death for the involvement in deadly violence after a game last year. The violence erupted after a judge sentenced the 21 people to death in connection with the melee, love that word, that killed 74 fans of the Cairo-based team. So let me get this straight. 74 people are killed in a soccer riot. So then the government goes, oh, you know what we should do is we should kill 21 more people. And then the people are mad because they're like, oh, you're mad because we killed people in riots? Well, we're going to kill more people because you're killing people. So they go and they riot, and then 27 more people are dead. And I'm sitting here going, maybe killing people is not working out too well for you over there in Egypt. You know, you haven't really been relevant since the days of the pyramids. And you're really, really not winning me over by whatever is going on. Now, the weird thing about this is that there's like political connotations behind all of this soccer game that I don't fully understand. Because part of me doesn't know much about Egypt politics. And most of me does not even care one little bit. But people are saying it's the world's worst soccer violence in 15 years, which I feel is not even a thing that should even be said. That's not a word that needs to exist. Soccer and then violence. This is how I feel. I mean, if you're gonna riot over a sport, pick a better sport that's not so pansy ass. If you're gonna riot over a sport, it better be some kind of blood sports where people are killing each other anyways. If you're going to riot over soccer, S my D, man. It's no difference than people complaining about when Lance Armstrong was quote-unquote doping during cycling events. It's like, dude, find a better event to cheat at. Who cheats at cycling? That's the lamest. That's like saying I cheat at yoga. Oh, aren't you the biggest I cheated at yoga today. Like I'm forging my Weight Watchers documents, and I'm totally getting away with it. It's like, oh yeah, let's send you to a high security penitentiary.
I do that sometimes on my calorie counter app. I'll like put in less calories that I did, somehow thinking that I'll trick my body into thinking that I ate like 10
yeah, it's like I don't know
what it says in numbers. My body actually could send
I don't know who
10
you're
calories I'm lying about.
I don't know who you're trying to prove it to.
Yeah, exactly. I can't change it.
It's really just feeling better about yourself.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to figure out the politics of this, and if anybody's more up to date about this event, I guess it's kind of just really happening today. 774-314-7067, or you can Skype into Off the Air Live tonight. People are staying in a statement Saturday. The main opposition, National Salvation Front, said it holds Morsi responsible for the excessive use of violence by the security forces against protesters, which is interesting because everything that I read from this is just people are stupid and violent. Like, here's the thing is that, you know, you're at a soccer game. You're mad because your team didn't win. So what's the obvious reaction? Oh, I'm going to find a stick and I'm going to start beating people with it.
that how they did
And
it?
well, I don't know, but there's been stuff in here about suffocation, people being trampled. It's worse than Black Friday, man. It's even worse. The only thing that gets people crazier than a good deal is their favorite sports team losing. So people are getting trampled, and then the government comes and they're like, the way that we can fix this is we can turn off all the lights in the stadium, and that's not going to create panic. And then we can punish the people by hanging a bunch of them and not expect even more riots to happen. So more from the story. I guess now the military was deployed in Port Said to try and restore quote unquote security, whatever that means. But assaults continue into the evening. And I've watched some of the videos of these protests that go on in Egypt. And I gotta say, they're doing it right. I mean, if any country is really good at rioting and protesting, Egypt has cornered that market. I mean, you look at the U.S., Occupy Wall Street was pretty tame. I mean, we were covering that all summer, and it was really just a bunch of hippies in a tent on the side of the road, like literally like hanging out, playing tambourines. They weren't really being rambunctious, right? But when people in Egypt get pissed off, that's not enough. They're not going to settle with holding up a sign. No, somebody needs to get hit. And then it's not like it's not like, oh, let's just respond to this with like rubber bullets or putting people in handcuffs. Let's drive tanks around like we're playing a game of chicken and shoot live rounds into people because, hey, maybe that'll fix the problem. The solution to anger is usually not shooting people, because I know when people that I am fond of get shot, because this happens all the time, clearly, I look at that and I'm like, I look at the person that did it and I go, one, that was a dick move. Not feeling too hot about that. You kind of make me want to kill you back. And people in Egypt, they have no qualms about killing people back. When the government says, "Oh, we're gonna hang you, we're gonna hang a bunch of people because you killed people," they're just gonna kill more people. And all this tells me is that if you think that violent revolution is the way to go, well, look at Egypt. It's not working out too well. Everybody's gonna be dead pretty soon. It's the team mentality. And I find this story especially interesting because I always complain about how people get way too into sports teams in this country, where there's like more tame riots in like Quebec and Boston and places,
Well, you hear what happens every time somebody team loses for like a playoff or something. They go to the I think it's especially like Boston. They'll just go to like the town that won, and they'll just like burn cars and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's stupid.
I'm mad about a game that I wasn't involved in. Let's tip shit over. That's the logical reaction to that. Which we can go on all day about how stupid that mentality is. But the thing that I find interesting about this story in particular is that I've always said that like picking a political party like the Democrats or the Republicans
like picking a sports
is just
team.
like loving a sports team because they live where you do, and there's nothing that makes sense to it. This story is interesting because not only are people way too into their favorite sports team, you get the people from Cairo and then another place really into their sports team, but then it gets better because there actually are political factions that have sided with the sports teams. There's things that should not matter at all. And it's become a source of like extreme violence. More from the story. And I'm just going to read this and try and make sense of it because it's very complicated. And there's a lot of words that don't make sense to me. Al-Daw and other defense attorneys say that all sentenced were al-Masri fans. And I believe from reading the story, al-Masri is one of the two teams. And they're apparently, this is the soccer team for the Mubarak loyalists. The people who like the old Egyptian guy. And it just gets messier and messier. We'll take your calls at 774-314-7067. More on this coming up. Boy, is it stupid. This is Off the Air Live. All right, let's do a radio show. What do you say? This is Off the Air Live with Cody O'Connor. You hear us every Thursday and Saturday night at 10 p.m. on LRN.FM. You can see the video stream on offtheairlive.com. We're also live on TalkSuperstation.com tonight. If you want to talk about this whole Egypt crisis, you can call in at 774-314-7067, or you can Skype into Off the Air Live. Help me understand this, because I'm having trouble. I'm trying really hard to wrap my mind around why somebody would be so upset over a soccer game, and nothing comes up. And I'm trying to figure out the politics, because there's politics behind the sports event, which is what makes this story from Egypt even weirder. So let me read some more of this. Underlying the distrust that lingers between much of the public and police, survivors and witnesses say Mubarak loyalists had a hand in the instigating of last year's attack, which began after Port Said's home team won the match 3-1, and that the police at the very least were responsible for the gross negligence. And you've got Al Masry fans storm the pitch after the game ended, attacking Cairo's Al Ali fans. Authorities shut off the stadium lights, plunging it into darkness. In the exit corridor, the fleeing crowd pressed against the chain gate until it broke open, and a lot of people were crushed by the crowd while trying to flee. So, and then fast forward until now. Again, like I said, people are saying this political because the defense attorneys are saying all the people that were sentenced to death were fans of this one team, Al Masry, which were loyalists of Mubarak, the previous guy in charge of Egypt, and not Morsi, who's the new guy who was like democratically elected, who I don't know if he sides with the other team. This is very weird. This is very weird for me. And this is the part that particularly just makes me like, this is stupid. Fans of Al Ali, whose stands were attacked by rival group Al Masry in the incident of the Port Said, had promised more violence in the days leading up to the verdict if the death penalty was not handed down. Can you believe it? We're going to kill people if you don't kill these people for us. There is nothing that anybody can do in this situation that involves nobody getting killed, is there? If there's no death penalty, people are going to be mad and they're going to riot and people are going to die. If there is a death penalty, other people are going to be mad and then riot and then die. And either way, riots are going to continue. There's going to be live fire shot into the riots. People are going to get mad at that, riot more, and then they'll just send in more military. This seems like a country that, even as a tourist, it's like, okay, I can see a picture of the pyramids. Reading about this stuff, I'm not really interested in checking out civil unrest, taking a picture with the family. All right, kids, get in front of the riot. All right, it's going to be one for the scrapbook. Not interested. I'll go to Disney World if I want to bring my hypothetical children to somewhere that's a family-friendly environment. We can go to Harry Potter Land. But as far as checking out Egypt, you guys are not winning me over. I mean, right now, you hop a couple countries over. You get the country of Dubai. They're planning right now on building the first underwater hotel. And somehow Egypt is stuck in this knuckle-dragging society where they're rioting over a soccer game. How are these adults? That's what I want to know. 774-314-7067. I don't care if you like sports. Okay, it's a distraction. It's a good way to waste time and have something to talk about with your friends. I understand why people like sports. But what I don't understand is why anybody would ever kill people over the result of a game and they didn't like it. And this is my test that I always ask, is what would an alien race say if they watched this from a UFO? Do you think that they would be like, oh, this makes sense? Yeah. Why would people not want to do this? Because all you see from the UFO is this ginormous stadium with thousands of people watching two groups of people kick a ball around into a net on either side of a field. Okay? Now, one group of team is going to be better at kicking the ball around to the net on the other side of the field. And then the people in the crowd are going to be disappointed with the results of how many times the ball ended up in that net. And if they get mad enough, well, that's when I'm going to kill random people because I cannot control my emotions to the point where, like, this game is my life. If I were an alien in a starship and I saw this event go down, that is the point where I'd be like, you know, we were on the fence about whether or not we should take Earth over and, you know, basically pillage the entire planet for resources. I think this just shows that we might as well. I mean, they're clearly not that smart. This is what I don't get. I feel like we're in the Goldilocks zone of stupidity because you're not going to see an alien race engage in something stupid like this. At least I don't think you will. Maybe they have games, but I don't think they're going to have riots over who wins the game. That's just what I feel like they've evolved a little bit past that. Their brains are a little bit past doing something that's stupid. And but on the other hand, what other species on the planet of Earth engages in such stupidity? Do you think cats are worried about some kind of game? They'll love chasing a ball or a mouse or some kind of toy. But like once they get the toy and, you know, they play with it a little while, chew it up, they're done and they're content, you know? And I can't think of a species that engages in such a dumb behavior like humans do. If we're so convinced that we're created in the image of God, we're like the chosen race, you know, we have souls unlike every other species, we're going to go to heaven because we're special. And yet somehow something tells me we can't be that much more evolved past a chimpanzee if you've got people in Egypt rioting over a soccer game. Again, if you're going to riot, pick a better reason than that. You know, at least there was a little bit of grounds about the protests of the banned pussy riot in Russia. This makes zero sense to me. There is not 1 ounce of sense that is in my brain. If you want to help me understand this, 774-314-7067, or you can Skype in off the air live. I don't get sports in general. I really don't. But like I said at the top of the show, it is very interesting how things like football and baseball in America are used to distract the public from, you know, drone wars that were not, you know, legal or constitutional or anything like that. Moral, you know, the laundry list goes on. Civilians killed all the time by this president, but we've got football. And then in Egypt, it's even worse. We're killing people over this thing that literally doesn't matter one bit.